little bit of an explanation of why we're here discussing the Horseshoe Bay and South West Rocks master planning. There's two documents that have been prepared for council. One was called the South West Rocks Urban Design Study and Town Centre Master Plan. That was prepared in 1999. There was also a document prepared, a plan of management for Horseshoe Bay Reserve, which was dated 2006. Both those documents were prepared after extensive consultation with the community and looked at how the CBD of South West Rocks and the reserve at Horseshoe Bay could be developed. The documents are extensive and they cover a lot of information, but they're predominantly words. What council's tried to do in this scenario I'm about to present now is to put all those words into plans that explain what's in these documents. So we've got two documents there that are about 10 millimetres thick in that regard, and we've tried to put those and condense those into some plans and discuss. We've also would be remiss of council to go out to the community and discuss plans of the Horseshoe Bay Reserve without dealing with the Lands Department. Council is the trust manager of the reserve, is not the owner of the reserve. The reserve is owned by the state and controlled by the Lands Department, and we are trustees of that reserve. So council is based on these documentation that we've used and the maps. We've gone to the Lands Department and sought their concurrence. So everything we're presenting tonight is concurred or agreed to by the Lands Department. So that saves us coming up with a great idea that the community get hold of and really value, and the Lands Department slowing us up. So basically the Lands Department concur with these plans in that regard. So just taking you through, obviously we've got Horseshoe Bay there on the first slide, an iconic part of the New South Wales coast. Our study area of the reserve is this area here, outlined by a red line. It consists of the caravan park or the holiday park area, stretching from Back Creek across into the middle of the reserve, the main part of the beach, Horseshoe Bay beach area, and across into the surf club, kiosk, car parking, playground area and so on. So that's the area we're looking at. Just another couple of photographs that we're trying. All the documentation talks about keeping those connections with the views and the vistas down onto the beaches. We're looking at, when we look at the reserve, we're looking at access points throughout the reserve, not only vehicular access but also pedestrian access to all the various features of the reserve. That's the one, that's the road leading up to the car park on the headland. There's the interface between the open space park area and the beach. It's quite a poor interface at the moment, fantastic beach and fantastic area with a poor interface in between. We'd look to try and address that. We've also got the footpath network, which needs updating. It's fairly well beyond its use by date. The documentation talked a lot about the CBD. This photo here is taken at the entrance to the caravan park, looking down Livingston Street. The plans that we've prepared don't alter that setup greatly. They look at various aspects of it, but that work that was done in Livingston Street is based out of these documentations of the 1999 one. So they've already been, a lot of that work's already been done and put into place. That's another shot looking from the headland area beyond the kiosk down across the ridge line towards the Prince of Wales Avenue intersection with Livingston Street. And again, we've got a car park positioned under prime location of treed area on the ridge line with views down to both sides, down to Saltwater Creek and the Horseshoe Bay. Basically, this is a site analysis plan looking at the various areas. We've got an intersection here at Gregory Street, Livingston Street and Ocean Drive. It's quite complicated. It's added with the entrance to the caravan park. It's quite a clumsy intersection that doesn't work really well. Our holiday park extends down into this area across Prince of Wales Avenue, which tends to block that direct link from the CBD area into the Horseshoe Bay Reserve. We've also got the ridge line, which, as I mentioned, has got the the car park in underneath the trees in a prime location, and it tends to separate this area of the reserve from this area of the reserve. This area of the reserve is often used for markets, but it's underutilised as a reserve because of it being blocked by those vehicles. We've got the in and out, left in, left out intersection there that creates its own traffic issues that we'd like to try and address at this time. Poor use of space up at the headland. We've got a large asphalt area that's got minimal car parking in it, so we think we could do that better. And then also we've got this poor interface between the beach and the reserve that I mentioned. So they're the site analysis that we've addressed when looking at these plans. That plan is one that will be on the website, council's website, that can be viewed by the community, that we're handing out in our public consultation meetings. It documents all the various aspects of it. Pretty hard to read for the people here tonight. So what we've done is we've removed those and blown it up a bit, so it's a bit easier to see. So certainly the plan with all the documentation will be on the website. Working our way across the drawing, commencing at Back Creek. I mentioned that we've spoken to the Lands Department about these plans, and they concur with these and so on. We're looking at, there's existing cabins are here and here at the moment. There's an existing office building here with access issues. Anyone that's anywhere near infirmed can't get down to the office because you have to go down a dozen steps. The proposal is to shift the entry into the holiday park from the intersection of Gregory Street and Livingston around into the Ocean Drive precinct, and all these things were identified in these earlier documentation. The office area that was here and the residents shift up onto this area where there's now some old huts, if you like, or cabins. We'd have an office, manager's residence there, and revert this site back to sites, camping sites. The toilet block's been recently renovated. Council spent a considerable amount of money in the order of $250,000 to $260,000 on that just recently in refurbishing that amenities block. Potentially some additional cabins and a camp kitchen type area on the foreshore. With toilet blocks, they have a limit of all camping sites or non-service sites for caravans and tents have to be within a 100-metre radius of those toilet blocks, which brings us in this sort of radius here. There's an existing toilet block, double-storey toilet block there that's pretty much beyond its use-by date. It either needs a total rebuild or an extensive makeover that would cost a significant amount of money. What this plan does is remove that, and it pulls the boundary of the holiday park back from about here to in line with the Prince of Wales Avenue property boundaries. So the toilet block's here at the moment. With that coming back, that would have to go. If there's no toilet blocks there, we can't have camping sites. So the idea is to make these sites self-contained with cabins, and it takes away that 100 metres radius of the toilet block. So it's rationalising those in that regard. As I said, the Lands Department have concurred with these plans. They see the benefit of opening up this distance here, which was blocked before by having the holiday park basically touching the car park under the trees. So there's a lot of info on this, so I'll keep working through it. So this, if you like, access, direct link from Horseshoe Bay through to the main CBD of South West Rocks is opened up. There's a potential for market area in this vicinity. Where the car park is existing now under the trees, we look to remove that and put it down into an area that's underutilised at the moment and give back to the reserve this prime location under the trees. So it's prime in summer, views and so on. With the car park, we look at bringing the entry to the car park from the corner, which sort of comes in like this at the moment, up the hill slightly so we can get hopefully a in and out in all directions, so it gives some flexibility back up to the vehicle traffic heading in. And we then look at car parking in this sort of format. What it also does, and a major change here, is the existing road to the headland car park comes up in front of the kiosk, past the big fig and up there. We've looked at shifting that to the other side in between the existing shelter location and the surf club. What that does is free up this area, which I'll address in a second. We do look at the car parking. Car parking is obviously a premium in the busy periods of the year. We're looking at increasing the car parking from around about the 95 odd sites that are there at the moment to around about 147, I think it is. So it increases the car parking in that vicinity. The existing playground is here at the moment. That playground is getting to the need of upgrading, and there's two schools of thought. One, it could be left where it is and upgraded in that location, or two, it could be shifted up into this area underneath, if you like, the fig tree and the treed areas up there. It's one or the other. It wouldn't be both, but certainly there's an option there to shift the playground if the community felt that was a better option. A lot of people have linked the playground with the existing shelter shed location where parents have overseen their children in the playground. That connection's been made a bit difficult now with that road running past. However, it's always had a car park in front of it, which has always been a bit of a poor situation. So what if the playground stayed here? We would propose that additional shelters, seating under trees and so on be constructed in and around this area or this playground precinct, so that parents can supervise their children in an area that's not across bitumen, if you like. This area would be made calmer by raised pedestrian areas, speed bumps if you like, and so on, to try and keep all those vehicle manoeuvres nice and slow. We get over into this area. Sorry, if the playground area was pushed up in here, it would be similar. Additional seating areas would be placed up here as well. This plan was started to be commenced around about a year ago, way before the unfortunate incidents where the shelter shed was burnt down in about the middle of the year. That was where it was located, and it was always on our plan, and it still is on our plan. And what we thought is part of this community consultation is to seek from the community what they valued about the shelter shed and to reassess those values and what they want to see back there. If it needs to be exactly the same as it was to do exactly the same purpose, fantastic, but it might be that there's another option. What we've looked at here is potentially it could be a shelter could be rebuilt in its exactly same location, or an alternative site might be over here in front of the kiosk area. What could possibly happen here is a bit of an open space, tables and seatings, a bit of a forecourt type area, potential for a new lease hold in this area as well, and make this a real hub of activity. It could also be that it's not an either or with the shelter locations. It might be that the community likes this area, maybe they like both, and that could be the ultimate gain, that there's shelters in both locations. With the traffic removed out of this area, it gives us a real opportunity to open this reserve up. It also lets this part of the reserve join this part rather than having a road dissect it through the middle. The toilet block that's there at the moment, it's got a nice big thick concrete slab on it. We're looking to, there's an opportunity there to put something on top of it. It might be just a lookout, it might be some seating areas where you can sit there and watch the waves breaking. It could be a barbecue area, who knows, but there's an opportunity to put something up there, have ramp access up to the top of it. The car park up here has been redesigned to achieve a better outcome for parking, and that can still be modified to try and get a smaller footprint up there on the hill and achieve a better result. And then this interface here that I talked about that could be used to address that, could be in the form of just a sea wall, if you like, or a rock wall to try and give a better interface between these two areas. This plan also looks at the network of pathways heading around the Flagstaff Point, a bridge over the gorge, different linkages through Saltwater Creek and so on. In those earlier documentation it also talked about intersection treatment here. This is probably longer term type stuff where they talked about shared footpaths and spaces in that location, so we haven't addressed that at this stage. But that's pretty much the reserve master plan that we've got, and I'm open to questions. Good evening. We're now looking at the streetscape plan of Southwest Rocks. This is based on the Southwest Rocks Urban Design Study and Town Centre Master Plan that was prepared in 1999 after extensive consultation with the community. What it looks at is basically the CBD of Southwest Rocks. At the top of the plan, the Livingston Street layout is pretty much as it exists at the moment. It does show up in this area pedestrian-friendly crossing with the road. That is into the future quite an expensive option to be carried out, but that is something that could be looked at as we move forward. Memorial Drive is shown as an avenue of trees with a central median, and parallel parking down both sides, and to give a nice entry into and out of the reserve area. Lansborough Street pretty much operates the way it is now with some formulated central parking. This is your main drive down through to Trial Bay, so the central parking will help to calm that traffic flow and keep it slow in that area by the nature of the layout of the parking. And then Gregory Street, minimal works in Gregory Street proposed in that regard, and just some streetscaping and tidying up the streetscape in general. What it does show is the lack of a caravan park entrance off the corner of Livingston and Gregory. That gets pushed around into Ocean Drive as per our reserve master plan. Focusing as we get closer into the middle of the CBD, we've got an existing car park here that's council owned. It comes down with nose to curb parking. We're looking at possibly trying to get some parallel parking on the east side of that car park to increase the ability to park cars in and close to that CBD, which is a premium in that regard. The plans I'll work through in the next couple of slides are focusing predominantly on the intersection of Prince of Wales Avenue and Paragon Avenue, and look at completion of that landscaping or streetscaping works that's been done in the past. This is the works. Prince of Wales Avenue some years ago was upgraded with streetscape works coming down to the driveway of the bottle shop, I think it is, and then down the east side down towards the corner. What these plans are looking at addressing is completion of that streetscaping, and then also upgrading of the Paragon Avenue streetscape. It's important to note that what we're proposing in here does not change the traffic flow or movements at all. Everything vehicles can currently do, they will still be able to do. It'll be one way from the east to the west up Paragon Avenue, and it's two way in Prince of Wales. So nothing of that changes, the parking doesn't change, it's just streetscaping upgrade. So it is important to note that. This intersection, probably the busiest intersection in Southwest Rocks. It's not on this day because it's a bit wet, but certainly there's some grade issues from the west side of Prince of Wales across to the east side. There's around about 500 or 600 millimetres of fall, which is hard to deal with from an engineering point of view. We've been able to address those issues. We've also got a very poor interface for vehicles, pedestrians, access. We've got tram ramps here that aim up this way where people want to go that way. We've got lack of footpath space, trip hazards, step hazards, you name it. That's the west side of Prince of Wales Avenue, which again shows the existing conditions. It shows steep crossfalls, non-compliant to the Australian standard, pretty poor interface between vehicles and pedestrians and shoppers. So we're looking at upgrading that section and completion of the Prince of Wales Avenue streetscape. There's your Paragon Avenue, one lane of traffic travelling from the east to the west. A narrow footpath that's probably only around about 800 millimetres wide, just under 3 feet to you older ones that don't know metric. What we're looking at here is just increasing that footpath, probably around about 450 millimetres, 18 inches, so it becomes a wider footpath to give some better pedestrian access down that road. But the parking stays the same, the south side stays the same, and the traffic flow still comes up as it does now. This is your intersection, the main part of the works. The predominant part of this proposal is to address the issues at this corner. As I said, at the moment there's all at grade changes and horrible trip hazards and so on. What this proposal does, it provides an at grade intersection where the intersection is built up to link on to the footpath level, so people who aren't able-bodied can get from one side to the other easy without trip hazards and falling over. The cars come up a slight ramp that's around about 150 mil high onto this raised platform. Cars still have to give way to cars. It is a shared environment where people and cars mix, but they're at a slow speed of under 5 kilometres an hour because of the alignment of all the road and the footpaths, and they tend to work it out as they go. This plan does provide for a disabled parking bay adjacent to the intersection and also a taxi rank, so that disabled people can come up a ramp here onto this higher footpath area on the west side of Prince of Wales. There's small retaining walls, probably about 600 high, a footpath along the edge so that people can walk along it up to the stairs or to the ramps and access that level at the shops. And as I said, the parking bays in all of these areas would be marked, and by marking the bays we can normally keep people within them. We gather another couple of parking bays as we do that. But that's pretty much as it is. We're pretty much, from council's point of view, we'd be ready to run with this work in the middle of next year, depending on how it sits with the Chamber of Commerce and so on. So there's some immediate action ready to start in this regard. But that's pretty much it on this plan. Thank you.